Hi and welcome to this Maths GCSE exam walkthrough for the Foundation Paper 1 in 2016. It says June, it's actually May. So what we're going to be doing is going through a predicted paper. Now, if you enjoy this predicted paper, please go to the onmaths.com website, where you'll find lots of different resources, such as demon questions, which show you the very hardest questions that you might face for your GCSEs. This paper you can do online. I'm going to be doing the PDF version of this paper, but if you do the online version, it's completely free. Go to the website, and you can also sign up for free and save your scores. So every time you do it, it shows you exactly what you're doing right and where you're going wrong and how you can get extra marks. Now, the way these predictions are created is what I do is I go through and see which topics come up the most. That doesn't mean that this is a perfect prediction of what you will face when it comes to May, when your late May, when your exam is. But these are the questions that you definitely must know because they come up so regularly. There are questions, as we know, that assess more of problem-solving skills, and they're very difficult to predict, so that these will not be in this paper. The Demon Question series covers all these types of questions, and so they're all on the website. Please have a look. All the links for the PDF version of this paper, if you wanted to print it out and do it along with us, are in the description and are probably popping up as I speak. And a link to our predicted paper on the website, the online version, is also in the description. So, without any further ado, let's get started. So, question 1, if you'd like to pause the video now and have a go. Okay, let's go through question 1. So, it's a question involving a pictograph, or pictogram, and we have a partially constructed pictogram with obviously one space missing. The sort of greyed out ones show that they're not fully there. First thing to notice about a pictogram is what the symbols represent. They don't always represent 1, and if you have a look here, it says it represents 8 DVDs. So each one of these is 8. It says which day were most DVDs sold, Monday, Tuesday or Wednesday. So looking at Monday, Tuesday and Wednesday, it's very easy with pictograms to see which one the most is, because it's just the one with the most circles or squares or whatever diagram it shows. So you can see here it's Monday. So my answer here is Monday. And on the website you drop down and you just select Monday. So that's 1 mark. It says how many DVDs were sold on Wednesday. So there's 2 circles, so it's really tempting to say, yep, just 2. Each of those circles, though, represents 8. So the answer is going to be 8 plus 8, which we know is 16. It says how many DVDs, for question C, how many DVDs were sold on Monday. Now this is a harder question because not only do we have the 8 that's here and the 8 that's here, but we've got an almost 8. It's almost a complete circle, but it's not quite. So we need to know what each of these quarters is worth. Well, let's pretend that each of these quarters is worth 1. So it'd be 1. So let's have a look at a completed one. 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, they don't add up to 4, they add up to 8. So let's try 2. 2, 4, 6, 8. Well, that works. So each quarter of the circle represents 2. So there's 2 there, 2 there, and 2 there. So that's 2, 4, 6. So I've got a full circle, another full circle, and then a bit left over. So the answer is going to be 22, because we've got the 16 there, and we've got 6 more, and 16 plus 6 hopefully is 22. Okay, last one. It says on Thursday 28 DVDs were sold. So 28 DVDs, so that's the number we need for the question. Show this information on the pictogram. So I know there's going to be at least 8, so I'm going to show 1 circle for my 8. And I know there's going to be another 8. So how much have I got so far? So 16 so far. Well, we haven't hit 28 yet. If I fill in another circle, That's going to be another 8. And how much is that going to be? Well, that's going to be 24. Now, how many more do I need? Well, I need 4 more. We worked out earlier that each of these quarters are worth 2. So how many quarters will I need? Well, I'll need 2 quarters. So that's going to be half a circle for that 4. So 8 plus 8 plus 8 is 24, plus another 4 is 28. So it's going to be 3 whole circles and 1 half. Now in your exam, just draw the circles, don't draw these little 8s here. I'm just doing that to show you where the numbers are coming from. So they would be expecting 3 whole circles and then a half a circle at the end there. You don't have to fill them in, you can do, but I just think it's a bit of a waste of time. Just draw the circles would be absolutely fine. And that's given us 4 marks so far, so we're doing well, but we need to get a 29 to get a G, so let's plough on. So, question 2, if you'd like to pause the video now and have a go. Okay, so this question's on mental arithmetic, really. And so, let's have a think. We've got 30 passengers on a train. The train stops at a station. 11 passengers get off the train, 20 get on the train. The train can fit 60 passengers. How many spaces are left on the train? So, here we've got people coming off and people coming on. There's more people getting on the train than getting off. So, if 11 people get off but 20 people get on, I know that in total we're going to have 9 more passengers. So, we started with 30 and we have gained 9. So, in total we have 39 passengers. Now, the question doesn't say how many people are there on the train, it says how many people are there left. So I've got to do 60, take away 39. Now one way you could do this is work out how many you add to 39 to get to 60, or you can do it with this sort of long subtraction. So let's borrow 1 there, 10 take away 9 is 1, 5 take away 3 is 2. So the answer would be 21 for 3 marks. Now it says here the table shows the genders of people on a different train over a week. Okay, so male and female there. There were more female passengers than male passengers across the week. How many more passengers? Okay, there's a few different ways of doing this. One way is just adding all of these up and then taking them away. And then one other way is you can just do them individually and work out what the difference is. I'm going to add up all of these numbers because I think it's the more straightforward. So we've got 26, and I'm going to do the females first, 24, 20, 21, 27. Remember, this is the non-calculator, so we've got to do this in our head. So that 6 plus 4 is 10, 1 plus 7 is 8, so 10 plus 8 is 18, so carry the 1. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, and then plus the 1 is 11. So there's 118 female, and I'll probably show the examiner that this is female that I'm doing. So female, showing the examiner is 118. Now let's do the male. So I'm a bit tight for space, so I'm just doing it going across. So 17, 23, 24, 23, 19. And these look a bit more awkward. So what have we got? 9. How much have we got here? So we've got 3 plus 4 plus 3, which makes 10. Plus the 9 is 19. Plus the 7 is 26. So I carry the 2. And 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. So it's 106. So there's 106 males, 118 females. So I just take them away. So take away 106. I'm showing the examiner exactly what I'm doing. 8 take away 6 is 2. 1 take away 0 is 1. And 1 take away 1 is nothing. So there are 12 more females. Now you could just write 118 take away 106 just in one line equals 12, because you probably did know that, but make sure you show all your working, because in case you make a silly mistake somewhere, then you'll know how to correct it. Okay, let's move on. Question 3. Now I'm going to show both parts of question 3, and if you'd like to pause the video now and have a go. Okay, so a little bit of a shape exercise. What percentage of this shape is shaded? So we know that there is 100% as a whole, so this is going to be out of 100. And how many parts have I got? Well, I've got 4 parts. So each part is worth 100 divided by 4, which I know is 25. So each of those parts is worth 25%. 2 of them are shaded, so it's 2 lots of 25%, which is 50%. Different way of working it out would be the fact that half of them are shaded, so half as a percentage is just 50%. What fraction of this shape is shaded? Well, you've got to work out how many squares there are altogether, and there are 8 altogether, so that becomes our denominator of the fraction. And how many are shaded? 1, 2, 3. So it becomes 3 over 8. Shade 1/5 of this shape. So a couple of ways of doing this. I know there's 10 in total. So if I work out what this is, but with a 10 at the bottom of it, well, how do I make a 10 at the bottom of it? Well, I times that by 2. So I times the top by 2, and it becomes 2/10. So 1/5 is the same as 2/10. And if it says 2/10, then I'm just going to shade in badly 2 of these squares. I don't shade very well, but it's 2 of these squares. Now if you think about it, if you just have a look at the top, there's 5 squares there, and we're shading in 1 of those. If we have a look at the bottom, there's 5 squares there, and we're shading 1 of those. So it makes sense that that's going to be a 1/5. Okay, as long as 2 squares are shaded, you are fine. Right, let's have a look at this one. So 2 of these fractions are equivalent to a quarter. So for a quarter, the number at the bottom is 4 times the number at the top. So having a look through this, well, 15 is 3 times 5, so that's a third. 4 over 12, so 4 is a third of 12, so that's not going to work. 7 is a 1/5 of 30, and looking at A and B, well, 4 times 4 is 16, 2 times 4 is 8. So my answers are fractions A and B. Okay, if you have a question like this, and you're really stuck on it, what you might want to do is just times top and bottom by 2, times the top and bottom here by 3, times the top and bottom at the start by 4, and you can just write out all the different fractions that are equivalent to a quarter. And if you have a look here, both of those are on that list, on the list there. Okay, we're halfway towards a G grade, but hopefully most of you have got 100%, if not most of these questions right so far. So let's move on to question 4. If you'd like to pause the video now and have a go. Okay, so we've got our first angle question, and it says work out the size of the angle marked X. So you just need to know one thing, and that one thing is angles on a straight line add up to 180. So all you need to do for this is take 169 away from 180. Now again, you can do that by adding numbers onto 169 to get to 180, or you can do it with this method. I borrow 1 or take 1 from the 8 and move it to the 0 to make 10. 10 take away 9 is 1. 7 take away 6 is 1. And 1 take away 1 is nothing. So my answer is 11 degrees. Give a reason for your answer, and I would just write angles on straight line, add to 180 degrees. Now this question A and B will normally just be one question. It will say in question A, show your working. Now because this is from an online paper, I can't have written descriptions because there's no way of me checking that they're correct and being able to give you feedback. So I've split this up into two. Normally, show you all your working. They're looking for you to take it away from 180. They're looking for this. Okay, it says what type of angle is angle X? And from the selection there, it's either going to be acute, right angle, reflex, or obtuse. It's less than 90 degrees, so my answer is acute. Now don't forget, acute is less than 90, a right angle is 90, obtuse is between 90 and 180, and then reflex is above 180. If you don't know those, please look them up, revise them. Okay, question 5. Pause the video now if you want to have a go. Okay, so a number machine or a function machine question. Work out the output when the input is 22. So the input here is 22. We're dividing it by 2, so that will make 11. And if you think that's a plus 2, my apologies. And then we are adding 6, so that will make 17. So answer is 17. Below is a different number machine. It says the input is 10, the output is 16. What is this mystery function? So let's work out what number's going into that function. So it's 10 take away 6, which is 4. So we need a way of getting from 4 to 16. Now in the drop down there's only one possible solution, but we know that there's going to be 2. To get from 4 to 16, we can times by 4. 4 times 4 is 16, so that works. We could add 12. That would also work. But we could also square it. Okay, actually there's quite a few different ways we could do it. But the one on the website that they're looking for, or that I'm looking for, is times by 4. But if this was a question in the exam and it just left a blank space there and no selections, then you could have either of those two and that would be absolutely fine. And as I said, you could also say square it. That's absolutely fine. Okay, let's move on. Question 6, if you'd like to pause the video now, have a go. Okay, so this is a question about a farmer's market. A guy fills up a bag with 26 kilograms of apples. Now, I like to do a little diagram normally for these questions just so I can visualize it a bit better. So we've got 26 kilogram, and then he puts some of them into a smaller bag, but he still has the bigger bag. Now, it says that the bigger bag is 10 kilograms larger than the smaller bag, but those two bags will add up to make 26 kilograms. There's two different ways of doing this. You can do trial and improvement. So if I do the big bag there and then the little bag or smaller bag or whatever you want to call it. So let's guess. I think the big bag's 20, therefore the little bag will have to be 6 for it to add to 26. The difference between those though is 14. So that's not what the question says. Let's try 15. If the big one's 15, then the little one will have to be 9. And the difference between those two is plus 6. That one's 6 bigger. Well, that's too small now. We've gone too far the other way. So let's try 18 and 8 to make 26. And the difference is 10. The question says what is the weight of the smaller bag, so it's 8. Now if you're a bit more adventurous and you know some algebra, then what you could do is, I know these two bags have the same weight. It's just this weight here we need to add 10 to because it's 10 bigger than this. but they have the same weight. It's just that we're adding 10 to this weight. So we can call them both A. So A plus the 10, because the bigger bag is 10 bigger, plus the A from the smaller bag equals 26. If I draw some lines down. Now I can take away the 10 from both sides and collect the like terms. So it'd be 2A equals 16. And then I could halve it to get rid of the 2 there. So A, which represents the smaller bag, equals 8. Now I think most people doing the question would just do it through trial and improvement, and that's absolutely fine. You don't lose any marks. But if you do understand a bit of algebra, then you can go down this route and you can still get the full marks. So he's got a different bag full of bananas, so 20 kilograms of bananas. Okay, so we've got 20 kilograms of bananas. He then puts some pears in the bag. So I can imagine that this is the same bag and this is pears. The total weight is now 119 pounds. 119 pounds. What is the weight of the pears that he has bought? And it's given us a little clue here. 1 kilogram is 2.2 pounds. Okay, so let's have a look at the question. First thing I would want to do is convert this into pounds. Okay, because we've got a question here where we've got kilograms and pounds, and you want to just be working in one unit. Looking at the numbers, 119, that doesn't look like it's going to be that easy to convert. But looking at the numbers here, 20, well, that looks like it's going to be nice and easy. Now, if 1 kilogram is 2.2 pounds, then 10 kilograms will be 22 pounds. And because I just times both of these by 10, then if I double both of these, I get the 20 kilograms. So it's double 22, makes 44 pounds. So instead of this being 20 kilograms, we can think of this as 44 pounds. So we had 44, we now have 119, so what is the weight of the pears? We'll just take them away. So it's 119, which is the total weight now. We take away the weight of the of the bananas. 9 take away 4 is 5. Let's nick that one there. 11 take away 4 is going to be 7. So our answer is 75. Okay, and you want to always, with these questions, just check that it all makes sense. If you need to, please use your fingers. Say if you wanted to check 11 take away 4, so 11, 10, 9, 8, 7. Okay, I'd use my fingers. It's not a problem in the exam. Okay, whichever method guarantees you the correct answer is the best method to take. So you can see now we are very close to our first grade, which is grade G. So let's move on to question 7 and let's see if we can get there. So if we answer this correctly, we have got a grade G. Pause the video now if you want to have a go. Okay, so in the actual exam, you'll have a number line and you'll have to mark things with an X. Given the fact that this is an online paper, we can't mark things with X that easily, so I've just labelled them with A, B, C, D and E, which is absolutely fine. They could do that in the exam question. So we've got a spinner here, and it says, what letter on the probability line represents the probability that a spinner will land on yellow? So we've got to understand what these numbers mean on the probability line. This one means certain. Okay, whenever you have 1 or 100%, it means certain. It means it's going to happen. 0.5 means there's a 50% chance of it happening. Think of tossing a coin or whatever. 0 means it's impossible. It can't happen. Okay, and then these B and D, well, this is a quarter chance and this is 3/4 chance. So yellow, if you have a look at it on the diagram, there is 1 yellow. There are 4 in total, therefore the probability of getting a yellow is a quarter. So that would be B. So our answer there is B. It says red next. Well, with red, there are 2 of them on the diagram. So that's 2/4, which you will know is the same as a half. If you think about it, half of this spinner, the whole top half, is red. Therefore, it's going to be a 50% chance, or a 0.5 chance, which is labelled by C. And last one is blue. Well, looking at the spinner, there are no blues. Now, where did I say to mark anything that can't happen? Well, that's at 0. So that would be A. Okay, so if you've got all of the questions correct so far, you are now on a G, but we've got loads of the paper left. So let's move on to question 8, if you'd like to pause the video now and have a go. Okay, so I've kept this paper quite similar to previous exam questions. And I think this is quite sneaky, but they do this, and I'll show you what's sneaky in a little bit. This is a question about order of operations and negatives. So first question says 49 divided by 7 plus 10. So 49 divided by 7, let's do that bit first. I know 7 times 7 is 49, so 49 divided by 7 is 7. I haven't dealt with the plus 10 yet. 7 plus 10 is going to be 17. So answer to that is 17. Now, you would think, given the fact you've got used to doing it, that we're going to do 9 plus 3 first. BIDMAS tells us not to do that. Now, if you've forgotten what BID or BODMAS is, it tells us the order in which we have to do things. We've got to do brackets first, then indices or operations. It basically means squares, square roots. Divide, multiply, add, subtract. Now here we did this bit first because this was a divide and there weren't any brackets or indices, so divide went first. But here we've got to do the multiplication first because multiplication comes before addition. So on this one I'm not going to touch the 9, I'm going to do 3 times 7, which is 21. Then I do 9 plus 21, which is 30. Now imagine you didn't do that. You would have done 9 plus 3, which is 12, then 12 times 7, which is 84, which is definitely not 30, which is the correct answer. If you want to check that's right, type it into a calculator. 9 plus 3 times 7. Even the calculator knows that it's got to do the 3 times 7 first. In fact, every computer created on this planet now will always do 3 times 7 first, and then do the plus 9. Okay, so next question. Now we've got 2 signs next to each other, the plus and the minus. Now you can't have that in maths, so one of them's got to win. So we use the rules. Let's put the rules here. If you have a plus and a plus, that will equal a plus. If you have a plus and a minus, that will equal a minus. A minus and a plus will equal a minus. And a minus and a minus equal a plus. If the signs are the same, so 2 pluses or 2 negatives next to each other, you will get a plus. If they're different, then you will get a negative. If you think about it, it makes sense. If you say you're not going to do something, so there's a negative in there, then it will stay negative. You're not going to do it. But if you say you're not going to do it, so a double negative, then it means you are going to do it. Some students say to me, I didn't do nothing. Double negative, so it means they did. Haha, proof. Anyway, moving on. So this becomes minus 4, take away 6. Now, you might think, oh, 2 negatives, that makes a plus. That only works when they're next to each other or when you're timesing or dividing. When you've just got minus 4, take away 6, in my head, I have a number line, and I suggest you have one too. You have to use your number line for these types of questions. So we're going to start on minus 4, and we're taking away 6. Which directions take away? Well, this direction here is take away. And I'm taking away 6, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Where's that going to end up? Minus 5, minus 6, minus 7, minus 8, minus 9, minus 10. So that's going to equal minus 10. And if you want to do a diagram like this and you can write in all the numbers and what zeros here somewhere, that's absolutely fine. The examiner does not mind that. As long as you're getting the right answer, it doesn't matter how you do it. Okay, this one here, same rules apply, but this time the two negatives there make a plus. And 5 plus 5 is just going to be 10. You could use your number line, but I'm pretty sure most of you will know what 5 plus 5 is. Okay, so we're on a G grade, and we're halfway towards an F grade, so let's see if question 9 gets us there. All close. If you'd like to pause the video now and have a go. Okay, so this question involving two shops. I believe this probably should say shop B. You'll probably find when you visit the website it will say shop B rather than shop A again. So it says what is the cheapest price for 45 rulers? Okay, so let's have a look at shop A first. So it says 3 rulers. So if I write in rulers and price. So 3 rulers is £1.50. So let's have a think. Well, what's 5? What's well, this is quite a tricky one, isn't it? So how many? How do we get from 3 to 45? So what do I do to 3 to get to 45? Well, I know 3 times 10 is 30, and I know 3 times 5 is 15. So if you think about it, I'll need to times by 10 and then times by 5 and add the two together, or I could just times it by 15. This means I've got to times this by 15. If I times this by 10, I get 15. If I times this by 5, I get £7.50. So that's going to be £22.50. When I times that by 15. Okay, let's have a look at shop B. So shop B says it's going to be 5 rulers, so let's do the same for shop B. So rulers and price. So 5 rulers for £2. Now how do I get from 5 to the 45 that we need? I need to times that by 9. So let's times this side by 9. I get 18. So 45 rulers here cost £18. So our cheapest price is going to be £18. And I could do that with just £18, or I could put the 0.00 in, and that's absolutely fine. Either way would give you the mark. Okay, so let's see if this gets us a grade F for question 10. It does. So if we get this right, and we've got every question right so far, we'll get a grade F. So if you'd like to pause the video now and have a go. Okay, so this is our first coordinate question, and we're just simply writing down the coordinate of point A. So with this, we always go along the corridor, then up the stairs. We do the X coordinate first and then the Y. Always go across and then up. 3 different ways of saying it, but it means the same thing. So we're going across 1 and up 1. So it's going to be 1, 1. Coordinate for B. Again, we're going across, but this time we're not going right, we're going left. So we go across to this -2 here. So the X coordinate is going to be -2. And we go up to 3. So the Y coordinate is going to be 3. Which coordinate on the grid has the coordinate of -3, -2? So -3 is over here. -2 is down here. So it's coordinate D, or point D. Which two coordinates are on the line y equals -2? So if I get my line. Now, where does y equal -2? Well, what's y equal here? 3, it says. 2 here, 1 here, 0 here, -1, -2. So that's where y is -2. But y is -2 all the way along this line. So the line y equals minus 2 is this line here. Because all the way along it, this y coordinate here is minus 2. So the two coordinates on the line are coordinates D and E. That's the 2 points along that line. Okay, so if you got that question right, we're on a grade F and probably quite close to a grade E. So let's move on to question 11. If you'd like to pause the video now and have a go. Okay, so in the exam you would normally get 4 things. I think I just didn't want 24 drop down boxes, or it would have to be 48 drop down boxes on the website. So I've stuck with 3, but the strategy for doing it with 4 is exactly the same as I'm going to show you. You'll normally be given things that are different letters, sometimes in alphabetical order. Now I've been kind, A, B and C. Okay, but they don't have to be in alphabetical order, but normally they will be different letters. So instead of writing apple, you can just write A. So there's 3 flavours of sweets and 2 of the sweets are chosen. So we've got 1 apple, 1 banana, 1 coconut. What are the different combinations? So I could have an apple first, and again, I'm just going to write A and that's fine. And then I could pick a banana. I could pick an apple and then pick a coconut. Now that's all the combinations for apples. So I'm going to move on. I could pick a banana and then the only choice I'd have is a coconut because I've already written down the combination with apple. So these are the different combinations. Now what's really important is that you are methodical with how you do this. And the easiest way of doing this is always start with the first one, write all the combinations. Then move on to the second one and write all the combinations. If you did have 4 here, then you're looking at 24 different combinations, I believe. Let's have a think. 3 times 2 times 1. Oh, that's not. No, it's not 24, is it? 3 times 2 times 1 is going to be 6 different combinations. Okay. And if you had 5 and 6 and 7, which is unlikely, then you'd have even more. So you just start with the first one, list all the combinations with that first one with the others. Then go on to the second one and list all the combinations. Okay, be methodical because otherwise you just miss some out and that would be a bad thing. Okay, let's move on to question 12. So if you'd like to pause the video now and have a go. Okay, so a simple question on collecting like terms, and you should be expecting a question similar to this. Now, we could write b plus b plus b plus b plus b. Similarly, we could write, say, 3 plus 3 plus 3 plus 3 plus 3. Now, we don't know what b is, but the same principles apply here. On your calculator, you wouldn't write 3 plus 3 plus 3 plus 3 plus 3. You would write 5 times 3. It's easier, isn't it? Similar to this, you wouldn't write b plus b plus b plus b, you would write 5 times b. Now in algebra you don't need the time sign, it looks too much like an x, so your answer there will just be 5b. Always put the number first, and that's the correct answer. Now here we've got 9 lots of f, whatever f is, we don't know, and we're taking away 4 lots of f. So if you have 9 things in your hand, and you take away 4 of those things, you're going to be left with 5 of whatever those things are, so 5f. And that's the answer. Okay, simplify this. Well, that's quite easy, because in algebra we do not put the time sign, so it's just going to be 10ab. Now this one's slightly harder. Okay, so we've got 4x plus 3x. Okay, let's ignore the y's for now. So 4x plus 3x. So you've got 4 lots of x's in your hand. Someone gives you 3 x's. How many do you have? Well, you've got 7x. So 7x. Now this is a slightly harder one. We've got 5y, positive 5y. This minus does belong to the y, so it's minus y. So you imagine you've got 5y in your hand, and someone takes a y away. How many y's do you have? Well, you had 5, someone took one away, so you've now got 4y. So the answer is 7x plus 4y. And that's full marks. Let's move on to question 13. And if we get this right, we're on an E grade. So if you'd like to pause the video now and have a go. Okay, so this is a averages and range question. It says the range of the cards is 6. We know that range is the biggest take away the smallest. The biggest is 9. So the smallest, well, if the range is the biggest take away smallest, it would be 9 take away something will equal that 6. Well, 9 take away, let's have a think, 3 will equal the 6. And therefore the last number on the card has to be a 3, otherwise we wouldn't have a range of 6. At the moment, 9 take away 5 is the range. Okay, 9 take away 5 is 4. Let's have a think, yeah. And so we'd need a 3 in there. So it's 9 take away 3, which will equal that 6. Okay, only thing you need to remember for that question is range is the biggest take away the smallest. Now, some of you might be tempted to go higher than 9 and try and make the range that way. If you read the question, it says the numbers have to be between 0 and 9, so we wouldn't be able to write down a number higher than 9. So, for instance, for this one, you couldn't write down 11. Okay, let's move on. So the median of the cards is 5. So this number here has to be the median. Now the median is where you list them all in, so it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in order of size, and the middle one has to be a 5. Now we've got an 8 and a 7 already there, we've also got a 1. So the number we're missing has to be less than 5, or equal to 5. So if it equaled 5, that would be fine. That would still make the median 5. But if I made that a 6, if I added a 6 to this, then the 5 would slip down there, and the median would now be 6. Okay, so the answer can be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. And that would all give you the right answer. So I'm going to say 0 and 1. Why not? Let's have a think. Yeah, makes sense. Now when it says write down 2 whole numbers that could be the last card, sometimes a mistake is that people write the same number. It's looking for 2 different answers on this, and you'd probably only get 1 mark if you wrote down the same number. So you'd have to have different numbers. It's just a mistake sometimes people make. Okay, let's move on to question 14. So we're on an E grade now if we get this right. In fact, we were on a E grade anyway. So if you'd like to pause the video now and have a go. Okay, so this is quite a common thing to have to know in your foundation paper. There's nothing you need to know about rectangles for this question, apart from the fact that what we all know is that opposite lengths are equal. So this one here and this one here are representing the same length. So these two will be equal to each other. Similarly, this one here and this one here will be equal, because opposite sides of a rectangle are equal length. So we've got this x, and we add 1 to make 5, and we take away 1 to make 3. So what number do we add 1 to 2 to get 5, and take 1 away to get 3? I think most of you will look at that and go, well, it's going to be 4. And you can do a bit of trial and improvement on that. Try different numbers. 4 plus 1 is 5. 4 take away 1 is 3. So we don't have to write any equations. If you wanted to, though, we could write an equation for it. So if x plus 1, which represents this top length, but it equals the bottom length, which it says is 5, and then I'll just put my lines in. take away 1 from both sides to get rid of that plus 1 there. It's x equals 4. But you wouldn't need that working out, you could just write 4, that's a pretty self-explanatory question. You probably will need working out for the second one, and you just need to know that all the angles in a triangle add up to 180. So whenever you have questions like this, where you've got things as written as algebra in the question, but you know it as a number, you'll always use the equal sign. So as a number, the angles are 180, and in algebra, they are 3y plus 2y plus y. Now you can simplify that. 3y plus 2y is 5y plus a y is 6y, which equals that 180. And then I need to divide by 6 both sides. Let's put my lines in. I need to divide by 6 to get rid of the 6 in the 6y. Okay, so y equals whatever 180 divided by 6 is. Now you might have real struggle to do 180 divided by 6 on the non-calculator paper, so we could use the bus stop method. Okay, 6's into 180. And actually for this one, the bus stop method works quite well. 6's into 1 don't go, carry the 1 across. 6's into 8 go 3. And then 6's into 0 go none. So it's just going to be 30. Something else you could do is 6 times 10 is 60, and there are 3 60s in 180. Either way, whatever works for you. So the answer is 30. Okay, let's move on. Question 15. I'd like to pause the video now and have a go. Okay, so this is a sequence question, and this is a simple sequence question. It doesn't ask you for the nth term, but it does ask you a few things, so let's go through it. First thing to do is understand what the sequence goes up in. To get from 2 to 7, I plus 5, and I normally just check it a few more, so yep, still plus 5, yep, still plus 5, okay, and why not, I've done it this far, so plus 5 again. So to get to the next term, I'm just going to add 5 to that. Now the 5 times table works quite nicely because they always repeat the two numbers, so 2 and 7, 12 and 17, 22 and 27. So the answer there is 27. Okay, select which statement shows how you got your answer. Well, you can't see the statements, but I'm just going to write down plus 5. You might want to write down it goes up in 5, so I added 5, or a sentence like that, it's fine. Show that 49 is not in the sequence by writing the term directly below it. Now, this bit here I've added for the online thing, because I can't have written sentences for the online thing. So to show that 49 is not in the sequence would normally be the question. So you could write something like all of the numbers in the sequence end in a 2 or 7, and that would be fine because they do. But for this one I've said, right, I want to know the one directly below it. Well, the one directly below it will end in a 7 on this. What you could do is just keep adding 5, so 27 plus 5 would equal 32, plus 5 would equal 37, plus 5 would equal 42, plus 5 will equal 47. Okay, loads of different ways of doing that, but in the exam, as long as you write down the fact that normally if you find the one below it and it's not 5 away from it, that's proof enough, and that's absolutely fine. You could do this algebraically. I'm not going to go through that because it's not necessary for that question, but you could find the nth term, which it didn't ask for, and then get it equal to 49 and then see if x is an integer, but that's not necessary for that question. So let's move on. Question 16, and if we get this right, we're on a D grade, so this is quite a pivotal question, so pause the video now and have a go. Okay, so this question has a lot of numbers in it. So we're planning a holiday to a theme park. I don't know why I've underlined theme park. And we've got some one-off costs here. So it's going to cost £230 for transport, £80 for drink, and £60 for other costs. So these are our costs that will stay the same. So first thing I can do in this question is just work out what the total of those are. So 230 plus 80 plus 60. Let's work out what that is. So 0 plus 0 plus it's all zeros. 6 plus 3 is 9, plus 8 is 17. So carry the 1. 2 plus 1 is 3. So 370. So in total, the flat costs are £370. Now, there's a couple of ways of doing this. If she's charging £15 per ticket, but the entrance fee is going to be £11 per person, then per ticket, if I can write, per ticket, profit. So every time she sells a ticket, she's going to make 15, but then she's going to have to pay 11 of that towards the price of the ticket. So 15 towards the price of the entrance, sorry. 15 take away 11 is 4, so £4. So she's making £4 per person. She's getting £15 from them, and she's paying £11 per person. So you could work out with 15 and then take away 11 lots of it, but this is a lot simpler. She sells 100 tickets, so there's 100 tickets being sold. So she's going to get 4 times, so it's going to be 4 times the 100. She's making £4 per ticket and she's selling 100, so that's £400 in total. But she's paying £370 in standing costs, so profit so she's made £400, but she's had to pay £370. You probably don't need to set it out this way, because I know 370 plus 30 is going to be that 400. So she's going to have £30 profit to give to the school fund. Now you've got to be really careful for these types of questions to set out your working out neatly, and so that you're showing the examiner what you're doing every step of the way. Probably could have written a little bit more here, but you need to show the explanation about where you're getting these different numbers from. And normally just writing a quick couple of words to show the examiner, yeah, this is what I'm trying to do here, can be the difference between getting, say, 3 out of 4 marks and 0 out of 4 marks if you didn't get the right answer. So we're on a D grade now. If we've got that right, let's move on. So question 17, if you'd like to pause the video now and have a go. Okay, so question about cheese. Now we've got to realise first of all that 1 kilogram, kilo means 1,000, so it equals 1,000 grams. So if we've got 200 grams, then that's going to be a fifth of a kilogram. Okay, so we know 1,000 grams of this cheese equals, and I'm going to do this in pence because it's normally easier, so 670 pence. Okay, if I work out 100 grams, then actually that's a lot easier to work out than 200, because all I need to do is divide that by 10, and let's divide this by 10. And I normally don't put units in the working out here, but I'm doing it just to show you, it's a little bit more easier to show you. And then to get to 200, I need to times that by 2. So times that by 2 is 200 grams. And times that by 2. Now you might think, oh, that looks a bit difficult to times by 2. So what can we do? Let's do a grid. Oh, I've written 3, that's clever. So if I do a little grid, so we've got the 2 there, we've got 60, and we've got the 7. So 2 times 60 is going to be 120. So 2 times 6 is 12, and then add the 0 on the end. 2 times 7 is 14. And then we need to add those together, so 120 plus 14. So 0 plus 4 is 4, 2 plus 1 is 3, and then the 1 there. So 134. So it's 134 pence. And then for our answer, we just make it into pounds. So it's £1.34 will be the answer. Okay, let's move on. Question 18. We're almost at a C, which is good. Pause the video now and have a go. Okay, so I've noticed something about this question which you'll see in a little bit. It's one of the wonders of having randomized questions on the website sometimes. So let's have a look at how we answer this question. So it says A is 4 and B is minus 4. And it says work out the value of 6A plus 6B. And I normally split these up. So I'm going to do the 6A first. Then I'm going to do the 6B separately. And then I'm going to try and add them together. So 6A means 6 times whatever A is, which it says it's 4. Okay. Then I'm going to plus 6 times whatever B is. Now B is minus 4. So minus 4 there. Okay, 6 times 4 is 24. Plus. Now 6 times a negative is always going to be a negative. So I could put that negative there. And 6 times 4 is 24. Now earlier we said if you've got a plus and a minus next to each other, the minus always wins. So it's 24, take away 24. And you'll notice what this is going to be now. 24 take away 24 is 0. So unusual, but that's the joys of randomizing questions. Is sometimes you get an answer of 0. Okay, so this next question. Now, remember we used the BIDMAS earlier. Let's write that in again. There aren't any brackets in this question, but there is an indice. The indice is the squared. So the first thing I've got to do, I ignore the 6, and I'm going to put a times in there. And I've got to do the x squared first. So x is 4, so 4 squared. Okay, and I've put the times back in because I'm making that x a number. With numbers you have to put the times sign, otherwise that's going to look like 64. Okay, now BIDMAS tells us I've got to do the 4 squared first. So 4 times 4 is 16. And now I just do 6 times 16. Now I could use the grid again, why not? That's a very dodgy grid, I should have used straight lines, but anyway. 6, and then we've got 10 and 6 to make the 16. 6 times 6 is 36, and 6 times 10 is 60. And I could write it over here, but I know that 60 plus 36 is 96. So that's going to equal 96. So our answer to that one is 96. And I normally just have a squint through and check that that makes sense. Looking at that, that looks all good. So let's move on. Question 19, if you'd like to pause the video now and have a go. Okay, so for this question, some teachers don't like the method I'm about to show you, but I quite like it. It makes things a lot easier. The method I use for this one is the triangle. And let's use a straight line for this. So triangle says that distance is at the top and speed and time are at the bottom, and they could be either way around. And whichever one you are looking for, you cover up with your thumb or whatever digit you want to use. And it says here that he's driving, so we've got a time there and we've got a speed there. And we're looking for distance, how far. So we cover up the distance. I'm going to put my cursor over it. And it says it equals speed times time. So we're going to times them together. So it's just going to be 4 times 40. 4 times 4 is 16. So 4 times 40, excuse me, is 160. So he's going to be travelling 160 miles. If I don't sneeze. Right. He then drives that amount, the next day, work how much further he travelled compared to the previous day. So we've got to convert this into miles. So how are we going to do that? Oh, that looks quite complicated. If I divide it by 8 and then times by 5, that should get us there. That's a really difficult question, unusually difficult. So we've got 560. I'm just trying to figure out the best way of doing this, and we're trying to find out how many there is there. 560 is what I times that by 70 to get there. So if you're comfortable timesing things by 70, then feel free. A different way of doing it, as I said, is you can divide by 8 and then times by 5, and that's to get from kilometers to miles. Okay, so let's try and divide this by 8. So 8 on the outside, 560 in the inside of the bus stop. 8s into 5 don't go, so that makes 56. 8s into 56 goes 7. 8 into 0 goes 70. So that would be 70. And then 70 times 5 will equal, so let's do 70 times 5. Now I can do this without the grid, because it's 7 times 5, which is 35. So 70 times 5 would be 350. So that is the same as 350 miles. Means the same thing. Okay, so we got there eventually. Wasn't the easiest of things. I'm not quite sure what I was going with the times 70. That doesn't seem to make any sense. I think if we did that, oh yeah, no, because then I'd times the miles by 70. Yeah, that did make sense. Times that by 70, and then I'd times that by 70. I don't think that's the easiest way of doing it. That would equal 350 miles. Okay, and I worked out it was 70 because I knew that 8 times 70 is 560. Well, you can see here that 8 times 70 is 560. Not the easiest thing. It's probably easier just doing this, dividing by 8 and then timesing by 5. Okay, so it doesn't say how much did he go in miles. It says how much further did he travel. So he's travelled 350 miles here and only 160 there. So it's just a simple subtraction to finish it off. So 350 take away 160. I can't do 5. 0 take away 0 is 0. I can't do 5 take away 6, so I'm going to have to nick 1 off the 3. Make that 2. So 15 take away 6 is 9. 2 take away 1 is 1. So it's 190 miles. Okay, and as I say, with these types of questions, always just check your answer sort of makes sense. I mean, it implies with the question that he's travelled further, and in our answer he has travelled further, and 350 take away 160 is going to be roughly 190, so yes, that looks good to me, and it is correct. So let's move on to question 20. Nice scattergraph question. If we get this right, we're on a C grade, so if you'd like to pause the video now and have a go. Okay, so a nice simple question to start off. Describe the type of relationship. If it's going upwards, it's going to be positive. So positive. Nice and easy there. Now, whenever I look at a scattergraph, I can't help myself. I've got to do a line of best fit. So I'm going to do a line of best fit. Now, with line of best fit, if you have it down here and you were asked to draw a line of best fit, that would still give you the mark. So they're very flexible with how you draw your line of best fit. I'm just going to do it like that, and that's fine. They're very flexible. Don't worry, don't panic too much about it. The way of doing a line of best fit is roughly have the same amount top and bottom. It doesn't have to be exact. Don't sit there counting them. I haven't counted them here. Maybe there's a few more below than there is above. That's absolutely fine. The other thing with scattergraphs is that they go with the data. If I drew a line going down from the top left to the bottom right, that's not going to be a good line of best fit. It says he got 34 on his history test. So let's have a look at where history is. And history is here. And 34 would be 1, 2, 3, 4, roughly there. Let's draw a line across from there. And a line down to read off what he was likely got on his maths test. There we go. And looking at that, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm using quite a thick pen here, so I'm not going to get the most accurate scattergraph in the world. But with this one, check that the number it says, check that you're doing it on the right axis. So sometimes it says 34 and people read 34 from the bottom and go up. You just go along from where it says 34 to where you've drawn your line of best fit, and then just draw it down and draw this onto the diagram. Examiners want to see that. Okay, let's move on. So question 21, pause the video now and have a go. Okay, so looking at this, the probability of blue happening is 0.3. So out of 200, well, let's do 100 first. If I picked 100 counters, then I would expect 0.3 would be 30. I would expect 30 of them to be blue. So if I pick 200, I'm expecting 60 of them blue. Okay, that's one way of doing it. Different way of doing it is I know 0.1 of 200 is going to be 20. So therefore 0.2 is going to be 40, and 0.3 is going to be 60. Either way, I still get 60. Now you might be wondering how I knew 0.1 was going to be 20. Well, 0.1 just means a tenth, so I divide that by 10. Okay. Now this is on mutually exclusive outcomes. It just means that these have to add up to 1. So if I add all of these up, so 0.3 plus 0.2 plus 0.1, if I add them all up, I get 0.6. And to get to 1, I need to add 0.4. So the missing number is going to be 0.4. Okay, let's move on. So question 22, pause the video now and have a go. Okay, let's have a go at this question. So, first thing to realise is that this angle here and this angle here are co-interior or allied angles, and that means that these two will add up to 180. So if I take away 124 from 180, okay, I can't do 0 take away 4, so let's borrow 1 here. 10 take away 4 is 6, 7 take away 2 is 5, 1 take away 1 is nothing, so 56. So I know that's going to be 56 degrees. Okay, this is a isosceles triangle, so we're going to use that next. But first of all, I realise angles in a straight line add up to 180. Well, I've already done the sum here, so that's going to be 56 as well. The two bottom angles, and I use the word bottom because the isosceles is normally this way up. Okay, the two bottom angles in isosceles are always equal, so that's also going to be 56 degrees. If I add these together, then I get 112, and angles in a triangle add up to 180, so I'm going to take these away from 180. Okay, again I can't do that, so that becomes a 7, so that's going to be 8. 7 take away 1 is 6, 1 take away 1 is nothing, so that there's going to be 68 degrees. Okay. And then these three will add up to 180. So if I take the two that I know away from 180, so we're going to take away the 56, and we're also going to take away the 68. Is that going to work? I don't like that. Can I do that? No, I can't. Let's scrap that. Let's add the 56 and the 68 first. It's been a long tutorial, right? So let's add these first. So that's going to be 14. That's going to be 11 and 12. So that's going to be 124. So I'm going to do 180. Take away the 124. Can't do 0, take away 4, so that's going to be 7. So that's going to be 6 and 5, which makes 56. So x is 56. Now, I've done this quite a complicated way. I mean, the whole thing is symmetrical down here, being an isosceles triangle and parallel lines. The whole thing is symmetrical down here. So if this is going to be 56 here, this is also going to be 56 here. Or I could have just said that that's 124 there, and therefore those are co-interior or allied angles, and that's going to be 56. Loads of different ways you could do this. The answer should be, or will be, 56 if you do it right. Okay, let's move on. Question 23. Pause the video now and have a go. Okay, so a nice stem and leaf diagram. 3 marks for stem and leaf always, 1 for filling it in, second one for making sure they're in order, and then the last one for the key. So let's get that easy mark first. So a 2 and an 8 on R1 will mean 28. And the other options is 2 line 8 could mean 2.8. So that's why we put the key in, to specify which one we're going to be using. Right, I'm going to do these, I'm just going to put them in order first. So looking at this, the lowest 20 is 21, so I just put the units in, and then looking around, it's 23 I think next, 24, and then 28. I'm crossing them off as I go so I don't put them the same one down twice. 32 and 32. Okay, this time I want to put the same one down twice because there's 2 32s. 40, so that becomes a 0, 43, 49, and we've got a lonesome 54 there. Okay, so first mark for filling this in, second mark for having these in order, and they are all in order, and then last mark for the key. Okay, let's move on to question 24. If you'd like to pause the video now and have a go. Okay, so it doesn't look like it, but this is a lowest common multiple question. If this bus is leaving every 10 minutes and this bus is leaving every 6 minutes, then to find the overlap we just do the 10 and the 6 times table. So let's do a few of the 10, and let's do a few of the 6, and we're just looking for what number comes up in both times table first, and we've just spotted it, 30. So in 30 minutes time the 157 will leave, okay, the third bus will leave, and then the fifth of the 183 bus is going to leave at the same time. Now the start service at 9 o'clock, where it says apart from that, so we're not looking at the 9 o'clock one, but it's going to be 30 minutes later, so it's going to be 9:30. So make sure when you're reading this, make sure when you're answering this that you answer the right question. It doesn't say how long, otherwise that would just be 30 minutes. It says what time, which would be the 9:30. Okay, let's move on. Question 25, if you'd like to pause the video now and have a go. Okay, so transformation question. First of all, we've got to identify which of the 4 transformations it is. The options are that it could be a translation, which means moving around, enlargement, making it go bigger or smaller, It could be a reflection, which means when you have mirror lines and all that business. Or it could be a rotation. Now this clearly is a rotation. It hasn't got any bigger or smaller. It's definitely not a mirror image. Okay, you could say almost it's a mirror image with the diagonal there, but it's not a perfect mirror image because the longer side's this side, and in a mirror image the longer side should be over here. It's flipped over, it's rotated, so the first mark for this is for rotation. And that's going to be your first mark. Loads of people forget to write that down. Don't write turns or anything else. Rotation is the word they want to see. And the second mark is for how much it's rotated. So it's gone all the way, it's flipped up upside down. So that's going to be 180 degrees. Now be careful, if it's 90, you've got to say whether it's clockwise or anti-clockwise. Because it's 180, I don't need to say. There's no need for me to say, because it doesn't matter which way around that you rotate it. The last mark, as you notice there's 3, the last mark is for centre of rotation. And what I would do is trace it out on tracing paper and put my pen in different locations to see where my pen has to be. Looking at this one, it's going to be the origin. So I could write the word origin or just the coordinates. And that, it really helps to have it printed out, so you could use the PDF and try a few others on the website and just print them off the website. Okay, and so that's for our 3 marks, is for rotation, 180 degrees, centre rotation, 0, 0. Let's move on. So, question 26, if you'd like to pause the video now and have a go. Okay, so for product of prime factors, you want to probably draw a prime factor tree. So we're looking for numbers that times together to make 12. I always look for 2 first. And any prime numbers I put a circle around. So that's 2 and 6. 2 times 6 is 12. The 6 isn't a prime number because I know that 6 is made up of 2, which is a prime number, and 3. So that's 2, 2 and 3, so that's 2 times 2 times 3, because it says product, so we've got to put a times sign. And it says write it in index form, so instead of 2 times 2, we're going to write 2 squared times 3. Filling it in the way that they want us to on the website, 2 squared times 3 will be the right answer. Okay, let's move on. I think this is our last question, so this is for total 100% marks. Let's pause the video now and have a go. Okay, so this is a more problem-solving question that probably a lot of you are dreading at the moment. There's nothing to dread. If you understand the maths, you will be fine. First thing to notice in this question is that is a trapezium. Trapezium is a quadrilateral, 4-sided shape with 2 parallel sides, which you can see these 2 are parallel. The formula for working out the area of a trapezium, which we need to work out, is half a plus b h. Looks complicated. It's not actually that difficult. A and B are the 2 parallel sides, so that's this one and this one. They're A and B. It doesn't matter which way around you label them. And it's saying you want to add those first of all. So A plus B. 2.4 plus 1.6, so I could write it over here, 2.4, 1.6. 4 plus 6 is 10, so I carry the 1. 2 plus 1 is 3, plus 1 is 4. So that's just going to be 4. So it's half, and we've got the 4 in there, h, let's worry about the h later on. That's saying half times 4. Well, what is half of 4? Well, that's going to be 2 times the height. Now, What's the height? Well, the height is the thing that hits A and B both at right angles. So this is the height here. Now, you might think that's unusual because normally the height is going upwards. Well, this is a trapezium on its side. So if you turn the page, if you printed this out on its side, then yes, the height would be on it. The height would be vertical. Okay, height doesn't have to be up this way. It could be across. It just hits A and B at right angles. That's the definition of the height of a trapezium. Okay, so it's 17. So 2 times 17, and we know 2 times 17 is 34. Okay, 2 times 7 is 14. 2 times 10 is 20. 20 plus 14 is 34. So it's going to be 34 meters squared. Okay, so we've worked out the area of this. I want to know if you've got enough money to buy the tiles. The tiles are sold in packs which cover 2 meters squared. Okay, so there's a few different ways of doing this question. Let's just check that we're doing it the right way. So the Jenny's discount cards are 25% off the marked price. They're marked at £8, so there's another bit of the question there. So they're £8, but she gets 25% off. So we need to work out what 25% of £8 is. Now to work out 25%, we could just do 8 divided by 4. And that's absolutely fine. That gives you a quarter, which 25% is a quarter. So that's £2. So money off, I could write this, show the examiner what I'm doing. So money off is going to be £2. Okay, so the price is going to be the £8, take away that £2 that she got off, which will be £6. So she's paying £6 for these tiles. Okay, so each one covers 2 meters squared, and we've got 34 meters squared to cover. So how many 2's are there in 34? So we just do 34 divided by 2, so it happens to be 17. So she needs, tiles required, or tile packs required. Okay, it's 34, but each one covers 2, so we actually only need 17 of them. If they're £6 each, then the next step is to do the price, okay, which is going, let's do a little grid, probably easier, and we're going to do 17, which is 10 and 7, times the £6. So that's going to be 60, 6 times 7 is 42, when you add those together it just makes 102, so £102. Okay, so she's going to pay £102 for the tiles. So how much extra does Jenny need to buy the tiles? Now the question normally would say, how, does she have enough or something like that? But again, for the point of this, I've got to have an actual number as an answer. It says give your answer in pence. So it's 102, which is the actual cost of it. Take away 100. Which is obviously £2, but £2 is going to be 200 pence, and that's our answer. So she's going to need 200 more pennies, or £2 more. Okay, and that brings us to an end. So thank you very much for going through this journey on this video with me. Again, if you missed what I said earlier, or it was so long ago you've forgotten, this question paper and loads more like it are on the onmaths.com website. All the links are in the description. You can have as many goes as you want on the website. You can just keep going, and that's absolutely fine. It's all completely free, and you can sign up for free to save your scores. There's a forum that you can discuss any of the questions on. There are also demon questions and topic questions. So if there's a specific topic you're looking for, then hopefully by the time you get onto the site, there's going to be a good selection of topics that you can sit and practice. If you have any suggestions for me of things you want me to go through, then please let me know. So far I've got a list, or I had a list of 20 different things people wanted. I think I've done about 12 of them, so we've got 8 to go. But if you want to be included on that list, just send me a link and send me a comment in the description, or go onto the website and type it into the forum, or talk to me on Twitter, Facebook, or anything else, and we'll see if we can get through them before your exam. As I said, thank you very much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please click like. If you really enjoyed it and want to watch more videos like it, then please click subscribe. Thank you very much.